a junior here at Vassar College. I was born and raised in Kenya until I was 18 and moved to the US for the purpose of education and schooling. My major is political science.
Hi, I'm Liz. I'm a freshman and I come from a private high school in China. And I'm probably gonna pursue econ and philosophy major.
I'm Ayala and I'm from Ecuador. I went to the American School of Quito, which is the capital city. And I'm the class of 2012 and I'm triple majoring in economics, Chinese, and Italian. Why did I choose to come here? Well, mainly I would say it was academically, just because there's a clear difference in the level of education between Ecuador, I would say Latin America and the United States.
I was kind of sick of the Chinese education when I was in high school because they really only focus on academic performance. And one day I asked myself, I should really do something for myself, and then I think the only possible place for that is the United States.
I wouldn't necessarily say that my political views have changed much. Mainly my values have remained the same. What's different is maybe that I've had more exposure to some of the things. It was just interesting to me that, a lot of people don't know outside of the US. But it was also interesting to actually see how it is in here. But because it's such a liberal campus, you don't really get to see the other view, which is an international student, sometimes I wish I could.
How have my friends affected a lot of my political ideas? Well, since I came here, they've affected my political ideas a lot. LGBTQ issues or gay rights were something that I maybe saw it on TV, didn't really understand what it meant. It's a fairly, religious country. So these are not issues that even if they exist, nobody really wants to talk about them. So I almost thought that these were not our problems. And the diversity here, just knowing where different people are coming from, the level of, ignorance I have on other people's issues that other people have on my issues, really fed me a lot of curiosity and wanting to know what's going on in other places in the world. My political opinion on issues like same-sex marriage, since moving to America, I've kind of been pushed to have an opinion on these things. And that's one thing I'm very grateful for. I think these are things that I kind of knew growing up in Kenya that they existed, except no one just really wanted to talk about it. So when I had to be pushed to actually have a position, I found myself just having a very liberal position.
I definitely like the idea that I've been able to meet a lot of more people who are openly gay or whatever, because at home, even if I met some friends, but they're not openly gay. So it's a very different view, and it's really nice to see that, they're happy and comfortable being when they're in a space where they can be themselves.
After I came to Vassar, I became more liberal. In terms of gender, I'm probably becoming more defensive of women's rights, because in China there is gender discrimination, but people don't really care. Okay, this is a phenomenon, but it's not a problem, but it's a problem here.
What my expectations were about Vassar and how that has changed. I understood Vassar as such an intact community of people who related to were with me on the same page on a lot of issues, people who cared about other people. And I'm happy to say that, I came here and I feel like I'm part of a community.
I didn't expect the drinking and hookup culture to be so, ubiquitous.
Most of the people that I met here and that I'm closer with are international, but I've also had the chance to meet American people. I just see that there's always this trend that happens, and partially it's because of international orientation, because it happens before, so you get a chance to meet internationals. You already form certain bonds. But then again, I think just the idea of having the same experience of coming from another place, you really have that in common, so, it's easier to connect.
I usually hang out with Asians. I also hang out with some Americans, my classmates, and some Americans who are interested in Asian culture so that we can communicate better.
My opinion on social issues like drugs and alcohol and hookup culture have been even more liberal than I thought they would get. Personally, there's a lot of things I just could never do, but I've kind of developed that, I've kind of gotten to that place where I judge less.
So yeah, this hookup idea thing doesn't really exist back home. There's no such thing really as grinding. Like I think the idea of dancing that we have is almost formal. Like, for example, a guy would always ask you, do you want to dance? You know, so you always have a choice to say yes or no or whatever. But here, you know, the first time you go to the mug and these guys just approach you, they don't even ask you, or they're just dancing on you. It's like, whoa, you know, this is weird, especially for a place that considers space so important. So it's like a contradiction, because when you dance here, there's no space, whereas we always have that space. However, when you meet someone here, there's this like cold handshake, you know? It's like all of a sudden then the space is, or like, oh, you touched me. So I was confused. I just didn't get this thing at all, because, you know, at home, it's like, okay, people are warmer towards each other. You say hi with a kiss on the cheek. It doesn't mean anything. But here it's like this contradiction of space that I wasn't really, I still can't really understand.
Let's talk about dating with Americans. I've only dated, I guess, one, and it was interesting. It was different. My biggest problem was, I guess, the value system and how we rate that, and how that differs completely from the culture where I come from and what we decide to value. My family is polygamous. I have 3 mothers, a father, and 26 siblings. And yes, we're all over each other's business, and that's just who we are, and we love it. And this was overwhelming, I guess. It was always a question of trying to reconcile the 2 different cultures and the 2 different value systems.
Something that's different. I mean, people here really think about things like art, politics, society. Well, in China, you know, it's pretty materialistic, and they care more about money, what they eat, what they dress, things like that. So there will be some distance.
A lot of times, actually, I'll admit, there's such a disconnect between what I learn, and after I learn it, I do believe in what I learn, and I believe it's really good. And so going back home and kind of translating that becomes a problem. Sometimes I feel irrelevant, or like what I learned like doesn't make any sense. It's if I put it in the context of the culture of what is there, it's just there's so much to do to even make it compare.
Definitely independent thinking, critical thinking part. I became more, you know, I want to express myself more after I came to Vassar.
What do I think I can get out of an American education is a degree that will be accepted everywhere. It's a strategic position to be in, just to have an education from America. In terms of appreciating coming to school away from home and coming to a school like Vassar that is very dynamic, is being able to learn so much about other people and other cultures. And I really believe that education is a very good tool to kind of increase tolerance to other people's, I guess, differences and diversities. It's been hard. It's been hard going through a lot of things, but being so far away from home. Coming here, I've polished the languages that my parents speak. I've polished my tribal languages. I value them so much because I really value the fact that I'm from a very diverse background, and meeting people in America who this is home for them, they only speak English, and nothing more than that. And for me, I took it for granted that, you know, like, oh, I have all these siblings and I speak all these languages that, you know, no one else heard about. I took that for granted, but now I really appreciate that more, and it's shown me how rich Kenya is.
I start to love my country better, appreciate its culture, but that's not what I felt when I was in China, so definitely.
No, I've never regretted it. You know, I think at times it's been hard, definitely, but I sort of sign up for that too. Like, I think to grow and just being by yourself and going to a completely different country, you know it's going to be hard. And I don't think that's a reason to stop you, because despite of that, you're going to learn a lot. And so I think it's been a great experience.
Yes, because I miss the food in Asia and the friend and the culture. But then I persuade myself into participating in a new, environment. I will probably work for a year or two, but then I have to go back. My dad told me I was told to go back and then just contribute to the environment that you grow up.
Yes, I'm graduating next year and I am going to law school. And even after I graduate law school, I'm still trying to figure out, I think I would need a few years of experience here just to have that on my CV before I actually moved back. I kind of want to take what I've learned from here and take it back there, take the good and the bad, so that I can be part of, I guess, Kenya's future and determining what that is. I feel like I have to go back home.
Like, I would like to stay, I think. I know eventually I want to return home, but I think I'd like to, now that I finally graduate from college, I just like some time to still experience being out there, but actually living by myself and, getting a job and living the real life. And then, after a couple of years, I can go home. Like, I definitely would have to do that. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, my answers are weird.
That was